and welcome to Centurions Corner, and today we are going to be upgrading another Bad Batch figure, and this time it's going to be Crosshair. So Hasbro have provided us with this fantastic figure. It's absolutely superb, great articulation, looks fantastic, great accessories. However, it's a little bit lacking on the paint side, and these guys look a little bit too bland in my opinion. So he definitely needs a bit of a weathering up. Although there is a lot of details missing on this guy, especially around the helmet part as well. I'm thinking about upgrading this part and making it see-through, as in a kind of like a lens. He's missing a lot of detail around the eye part as well, so we're going to be adding that as well. Again, there's dark areas that should be sort of darker, should be this sort of colour around on the actual figure itself. So like we have done with Hunter, we're going to upgrade him and completely change him around. And obviously upgrade this backpack with a bit of colouring as well, as there's a lot missing. So hopefully I'll talk you through the video, hopefully you get it, and if not, we'll see you at the end with the completed product. Let's go. First up, what you want to do is remove all helmet and accessories so we can paint the figure a lot easier, and those extra parts as well. Next up, what you want to do is grab the gunmetal, and we're just going to paint that codpiece completely, apart from that very front initial part there, as it looks slightly different in kind of contrast. Next up, just want to swing that figure around, and we're going to paint those sort of weird sort of thumbprint parts there into gunmetal as well, just again to give it extra contrast to the armour. So next up, what you want to do with the gunmetal is paint the knee pads slightly different to Hunter. They're not all completely gunmetal. Actually, the knee pads are completely different to Hunter's, and Hasbro gave us the same legs, so we've got to do a kind of like bringing them in to make them look more narrow. So we're just going to paint those bits a bit darker. Still using the gunmetal, we're just going to paint those bicep bits there because it does look darker on the actual picture itself. So just to break up the armour again, we're going to put those to a darker shade. Don't forget, if you enjoy this content, then please subscribe, like and ding the bell. It all helps the channel and it's very much appreciated. Next up with the gunmetal, we're just going to do that upper part torso, just around the neck where it sort of dips in slightly. Again, it adds a bit of shadow in, adds a bit of contrast to the armour as well, and just going to bring him down that extra shade as well. And then I'm just going to use that gunmetal on his feet just to bring in the darkness again, because he just looks 10 times darker than Hunter to these pictures. So I'm just going to again bring that contrast down into his feet. Well, so next up on the helmet, we're going to actually sort of bring in a little bit more detail here. As you can see, the helmet sort of details are wrong. So using a little tiny bit of gunmetal, I'm just going to go over those black parts there. And then with the gunmetal as well, it's completely cover his backpack. Again, using the same paint, we're going to actually completely cover his gun. And that's also the barrel and the stock part. And I just thought, looking at the helmet, it doesn't look black around that sort of initial sort of tube trimming part around his helmet. So I thought I'd use the gunmetal as well on that part, just to really sort of bring in the detail on it as well. It just looks a little bit too matted and a little bit too bland. So now grabbing the red and the blue paints, we're just going to add those dots to the backpack for the lights. And now with the black paint, we're just going to fill in those little squares that we had to do on the Hunter tutorial as well. This one doesn't actually have a window for the middle part, so you're going to have to do that part freehand. Here I'm just going to start putting in the red lines. As you can see, it doesn't go all the way to the end on the original paint job, and is also missing a red line across the top just underneath those black boxes that we added. So next up, what you want to do is just paint that part that's hanging down at the back of the backpack with the aluminium paint. Now the helmet is dry, what you want to do is get the black paint, get your smallest paintbrush as well. Try it out on the bit of paper first, make sure that that line's going to come out nice and straight. You don't want to get it and put too much paint on there, it's going to blurge out. So test it before putting it on the figure. And once you're done, then just put it on there. If you do it lightly, that's fine. It's better than putting too much down, knowing that you're going to have to take it off and redo it. So just slowly put it on there. With slightly paint, and then build it up as you go. So now taking your grey, what you want to do is start in the middle for the eyeball and just slowly work out and around. Don't go straight in for a complete circle straight away, just dub it and then use the paintbrush to slowly spread it around to make it look more of a circle. Right, you can skip this part if you like. I would suggest, if you're not too sure about this, maybe paint the actual antenna rangefinder white on this sort of initial kind of plastic bit on the end. What I'm doing here is actually I'm scoring it out with the precision knife. I'm going to take it off, and then what I'm going to do is actually physically replace it with a bit of see-through plastic. Any kind of bit of see-through plastic will do. You can use a laminate sheet or something without paper inside it, but if you've got any kind of boxes to one side, this is absolutely perfect. This is kind of what you want. It's kind of hard and robust. So I just cut out a small square out of that part, and then using the part that I've taken off as a template, I go around stenciling it around and then cut it out. So what I'm going to do here is be very careful. I'm actually going to cut it out in the middle. So I'm just going to slightly put two lines down with the knife, kind of cutting out the interior part of the actual rangefinder. So it's still got a bottom and a top. I'm just cutting out the filling bit in the middle. So I've got enough room to put in my new clear screen. So here, I'm not actually physically using the scissors. I don't have any tweezers. I don't know where I put them. They're somewhere around in my studio, but I have no idea. So I was just technically just using the scissors as a clamp, just holding it down in place while the glue set. And then next up, what I'm just doing is adding the details before doing the black wash on the figure. We're just putting those kind of red lines around on the backpack. So next up, when we're coming into the next part, I'm going to be placing the actual, using the grey around the eye part, so doing the target system on the helmet itself. I have actually black washed the character already. I completely forgot to record, and that's what happens when you record using your phone and your girlfriend rings and then you go back to recording. I actually physically forgot to press the button. So if you're not too sure about black wash, then go back, check the Hunter tutorial, and that's where you will see me doing a whole black wash on the character. So now down to the final parts. We're just getting that silver aluminium, and we're going to put all those extra chip-ins and rimming parts all around, and just to make it a bit more authentic and a bit more bashed up as well. So when you're doing that to the actual figure as well, just keep a lookout for all those little dents and scratches as well. Try and fill in those parts, and again think about all the other areas that are going to get scraped, damaged. If you're going to put down something on the floor, what's going to touch the floor first? And that's the sort of things you've got to think about when adding chipping, etc. With the gun, I'm just adding a little bit more to the muzzle on the end, because obviously that's where it gets heated up, that's where the paint is going to literally burn off. So I always kind of like it with a little bit of sort of flare at the end of the actual muzzle. And then with that, just again carry on doing all the chip-ins that you've done around the rest of the figure. Here he is, all finished, weathered and ready to join Hunter on the shelf, and I think he just looks fantastic. Bringing down that armour from that lightness to this darkness part here, it just looks great, and adding those extra details in there looks fantastic. So again, it's very similar to Hunter. We didn't really use any different techniques there, apart from obviously just upgrading his sort of rangefinder here. So the paints that we used is obviously we've got the Winsor & Newton one here, which is a really nice sort of matching colour to the actual armour parts there on the side, like the red parts on the back of his backpack. Got the silver chip-ins. We got the gunmetal for most of the actual figure as well. We'll go over that as well in a bit more detail to make sure that you tick off those areas that I've painted. Obviously we got the red. I don't know why I got the two here, but this is the red I used for the lights and stuff on the back there. So that's the blue as well, and then we got black for the backpack as well, and then we've got this sort of dark grey, which is an extra colour that we didn't have for Hunter, and it's a fantastic colour as well. It's one that you might use quite often if you start getting to customising as well. So it's obviously we use that part there for around the eye, but it's actually a really good match for like the colours that you get around on the back of these sort of brow parts, the back parts around here on the Stormtroopers and the Clone Troopers, etc. on that. So it is a good sort of paint to have on your side. But looking at the figure, we're looking at it in more detail. So starting at the helmet, obviously I've gone around on the black here. I've actually made this gunmetal rather than the standard black that was there. I just felt it needed a little bit more kind of character to it. We've gone around on the front here and made these more accurate, just getting a bit more closer into view there. So he has 4 black lines going up rather than just the standard 3. So we've put those into place. I've widened the nostrils slightly there for the skull mask. We've added that circle and the dot on his lens that he was drastically missing. And that's kind of it really. On the side on the rangefinder, I've gone over that in the gunmetal as well. Also with the rangefinder, so now as you can see it comes down and we've got that nice clear lens that goes through. Just adds that extra detail to the actual figure itself. So what I actually did, I just cut out a nice sort of thick part in between there, try and not actually cut off the bottom, so it had a place to sandwich in between, and I used the scissors to clamp it down to make sure the glue actually stuck to top and the bottom of there, so it's not going to fall out anytime soon, and it just looks 10 times better. And up on the side parts there, and obviously we add all those extra chip-ins and stuff just to really bring out that detail on that part there. On the armour itself, I've gone around this sort of rim part here with the gunmetal just to bring up the sort of armour as well, give it a bit more of a definition type here. The top of the biceps, we've gone around on the gunmetal on this part as well, and then we've done his shoes in the gunmetal all over, and these sort of semicircle parts on the back we're done in the gunmetal, plus his codpiece and butt plate all in there, but just leaving this part here clear, so we just got that extra kind of looking armor part. And yeah, it looks pretty cool. Oh well, and I did the knees as well, done a more of a U shape on here because obviously, as I said in the tutorial, they're slightly different knees to Hunter, but obviously we have the same legs, so kind of had to sort of like do a bit of a Jedi mind trick to make you think like they look a little bit thinner. And that's it. I mean, obviously gunmetal the gun itself, it's supposed to be a bit lighter, but I decided I just wanted to go with the sort of like the darker look on that one, just so it matches the character off 10 times better. So with that, we can actually just put him onto one side and match him to what he looked like before. And as you can see, it's a drastic change. Just those details added on there, that darkness as well, really just brings out that character, makes him more premium. And then with that, we can actually bring in Hunter. So we've got these two figures now standing side by side, looking badass for the Bad Batch. And now I'm going to go on to do the Clone Trooper, and hopefully further down the line I will do Bo-Katan as well. So thank you for joining me on this video. I hope it inspires you. Let me know in the comments down below. If you want to contact me on Instagram or Facebook, the descriptions are down below, and all the bits I've used in this video, I've got the link down in the bottom for each individual part. And if you use it, I'm affiliated with Amazon, so I have to tell you that I do get a bit back, but it doesn't cost you anything else. So until next time, take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.